Cesar Escalante, educator, community organizer in Oakland. I'm also a staff member, DC3. So, as a board member, one of your most important jobs will be to evaluate the performance of the superintendent. You know that speaking directly about the superintendent's performance, review publicly for the evaluation of confidentiality of the city board members. So there are two questions. I will answer these questions. So without speaking about the current superintendent, question number one: what actions would you take as a board member to ensure that the superintendent has a proposed work that is high impact, clear, and achievable? Number two: after you have taken actions, what information would you need to know in order to understand whether this will extend to being effective?
Thank you. So I think trust is super important in any work that we're doing, especially in this restless task of educating. Educating is not easy, and making sure that we provide the best education we can requires us to work together. And again, not work in silo or not get trapped in our own ideology of philosophies of how education should happen. I think that we need to be able to build a relationship with the superintendent as well as other board members. We need to make sure that that happens in a way that's student-centered. And I think that as a board member, I see my biggest role as also helping manage the superintendent. So not getting into details about what I think he is doing well or what I think needs to change. I think I would make sure that I'm constantly in conversation with the superintendent to hear his plan and to hear also how he plans to make these plans happen, come to action. But I would also constantly provide feedback, and I would ask that there's a process of how to involve the community. I think the community's voice is super important, and one of the learnings from the quality schools development policy approach and carry out was that we need more community input and that the community needs to be valued because we are the ones living here and we are the ones whose children are being affected by these policies. So I would make sure that we are managing the superintendent and that we're making sure that his plans are clear, attainable, feasible. And that we are constantly holding him accountable and holding ourselves accountable to these plans. Again, I don't want to get into details about the actual superintendent, but I think that what would be more conducive of growth and collaboration would be to build trust. And some activities would have to happen before we even start talking about the difficult conversations. But I think absolutely it is necessary. We cannot vilify our superintendent, and we cannot also put him in a pedestal and say that he's doing everything well. We need to be able to work with the superintendent and also ask for details. So for me, it's always coming from a stance of inquiry as a teacher is always important. So asking questions and also providing feedback. But I think that I wish that in Oakland we could, I think Oakland Public Schools is a great venue to get student voice and facilitate family voice, parent voice, but I think the district needs to be more transparent about what's going on, and we need to create a better venue to get feedback to the superintendent so that things are not happening without our voice being heard, and that we have a say in the process, because we know as educators and as people that cookie cutter models do not work for everything, and that we need to have real authentic conversations again, because this is real. This work is not about just ourselves and what we think is best in schools. This work could impact people's lives, the lives of our students, the likelihood of them making their dreams true, and we know that we need to create schools that create that hope and increase that hope to make their dreams come true. And we know that there's no great economy of people with crushed dreams. And so we need to make sure that dreams stay true and that dreams are still there so that kids can achieve. Thank you.
As our interview comes to a close, you have 2 minutes for a closing statement.
Thank you. So I just want to say that it feels really, really good to be here at Life Academy, and it feels really good to be home. I am from Oakland. I was born in LA, but I grew up in Oakland since I was 3 years old, and attended my Manzanita Elementary, which is Manzanita Seed, I think now. And then I went to Ascent, and I've had the pleasure of working with amazing educators in the last 5 years, and I see some of them here in the room, and it's really, really good to have you here. I want to run because I think that I have seen how many hurdles there are already outside of school, and for people that live here, so many challenges, a lot of institutionalized racism and police brutality that we deal with, and we need to make sure that at least we have our schools down, and that we create that schools are places of hope, they're oases of hope, and that students where they can achieve their dreams. And I think that the only way to have that happen is to have people who have worked with kids, people who understand how schools work, people who have experience, who have taught, who know kids, who know how policies that are produced the previous year affect schools this year. We cannot have people who are not from the community, do not look like the community, do not sound like the community, and people who think that there's prescriptive solutions will work in our community. If I'm elected, my community is the biggest thing to me, and I will always be open to feedback, open to your voice, and open to hearing the opinions of my community, because I think my campaign is not only about getting me elected. I think it's also about empowering my community, because it's a scary world out there.
Thank you.